Hey, this is WhyBeAre with BeamNG.drive, and today we're going to be taking a look at a map called Tavaci Monadnock. At least, that's how I guess you pronounce it. I really have no clue at all, and if you search that name, all you really find is information about this map made for BeamNG.drive. So anyways, we have one spot where we can go, which is just the logo of the map, so let's go ahead and go there. So if you click on the logo, where do you start? Well, you start on the logo, and there are actually 4 different locations that you can start at random, so that's just one of the possible locations. If we look over here, you'll see here is another possible place we'll start, and then there are 2 more on the other mountain peaks down there. But for now, let's focus on the one that we actually started on. So we're going to drive forward a bit, and you see right here, there's a sign that says Headlong Gorge. That's where we're going to be driving through. Although I really probably should have grabbed a different vehicle for this, something with a beefier suspension setup, because this thing can be rough on a suspension. We're going to take it nice and slow so I don't ruin my truck. And this is the part I'm worried about. This thing destroys suspension sometimes, but the truck was great. Gotta whip it around this corner though. Oh, what? That was funny. I tapped the e-brake to kind of whip it around the corner, and apparently the game thought I wanted to come to a stop. They're just like, all right, we're stopping. It's like, no, I just wanted to churn in a little bit tighter and slide the vehicle, game. Headlong Gorge is just one of the many options. A lot of them will start you up at the top of the mountain and you work your way down, but not all of them are like that. Some of them are easy and can be done with almost any vehicle. Some of them are a little bit more difficult. The one I'm doing right here, though, definitely could use a little bit more of a durable vehicle. I am pushing this truck to its limits, but it's working with me. And in a few feet, there is the finish line. As you can see the checkered flags right there. So now we're going to go to this next course over here, which is called Bushtail Path. And I always want to call it Bushtail Trail because it rhymes. And for this one, it's so easy. We could use pretty much anything. Like we could get a Bishu Corvette and we'll be able to cruise through here. The only vehicles that might have some trouble are ones that are lowered, especially stanced vehicles. Although there's not actually much for a stanced vehicle to get stuck on. So as long as you keep momentum, you'll probably be fine. You'll just scrape quite a bit as you go through it. But with the Corvette, I don't think we're scraping even. We're just flying along a little bit. And then here is the finish, and you want to come to a stop a little bit before the finish because it's kind of tight in here. Now this is kind of neat. So here you're in this little barn looking thing, and you have these areas over here, and they have words on them. These are the names of all 4 peaks that are on this map. Now the one we started at was called, where is that? No, there we go, Crow's Peak. So if we drive up into that, it'll teleport us back up to the top at Crow's Peak. And for the next thing we're going to be doing, we need a car faster than this with a more durable suspension though. So we're going to grab the off-road version of the Roamer and do some more driving from the top of the peak. So this time, instead of going to the right, we're going to go to the left. And it doesn't look like there's anything over here at first, but once you do a little bit of driving, you see there is actually a path over here that we can drive on as long as I don't fall off of the mountain. That got a little messy. I'm glad I didn't fall off the cliff because I want to drive down the cliff because that's basically what we're doing right here. We drive down this, we get this huge jump. And we gotta wait, can we land this thing? It's gonna be close. We are good. That was a pretty smooth landing, and I just gotta remain in control. And you might notice, the road we're driving on right now is a road I have driven on before. And I have absolutely no problem whatsoever reusing parts of the course because the way I see it is it just gives you more. Sure, they could have had it where you only do every road once, or you could add a different front half to it, reuse the second half, and boom. You got another course, and what's not to like about more courses? If you really don't want to do the same road twice, you could just stop it wherever you want and you're done. So the finish line's coming up, and I want to do something dumb. I want to slide into this thing, because like the finish is right there, so you slide into it. That's like the fastest way to get through the finish. It's also probably the most reckless. You know, we stuck between these. We kind of are. I think we could jiggle ourselves out. But it's kind of funny the way it just kind of slammed itself into the corner like that. All right, so yes, we can free ourselves, and I think we can still drive this thing. It's a little beat up, but should be good to go. So we're going to go over here to this other area. This one is called Bunny Hill. It's not too difficult. So even though the vehicle is pretty damaged up, I think it'll make it through this without much issue. This is another course where we probably could have done it with the Bishu Corvette that we were driving earlier. Although I think the Corvette was actually easier than this because it stayed in a straight line. This thing does not want to stay in a straight line, and I just barely grazed that tree. It could have been really bad on that tree. I got lucky there. So there is the finish line for Bunny Hill. And then we got all the options of where to go. We're going to go back up top one more time to the same spot. Apparently, sometimes the teleporters reset your momentum. Sometimes they don't. The next route we're going to be doing is over to the right. It's called Downfall Run. But we're not going to do that. No, we're going to go down this again, and we're going to wreck this thing up because I don't feel like doing a route from the start with this vehicle in its current condition. And we got a good wreck going right here. It's rolling all over the place. Can it make it across the bridge? Not quite. Almost, but not quite. So here's a quick look at the damage. This thing has been wrecked. And then we'll go ahead and reset it. And now we'll go ahead and make our way over to the next area we're going to be driving. As we drive over here, you'll notice there's a sign that says caution, low clearance on path. So let's see. Is it so low that even a lifted SUV is bad? We're going to find out. Gotta go really high in this corner and then dive down to get as much speed as possible for this jump. And let's see, do we have enough speed? Yes, with a nice smooth landing. Well, it was smooth, then the SUV decided to bounce a little bit. And then once again, we're gonna meet up with a very familiar road. And we'll go ahead and run this thing all the way to the finish line because it doesn't take that long to get there as long as you don't make any terrible mistakes, which I could do. You never know, things could go terribly wrong and I roll this vehicle. I try my best not to roll it, but mistakes do happen. Like this jump right here, sometimes you bounce awkwardly, like that, and you could roll over. We didn't roll over though, so we're good to go. There's nothing left on this route that can mess us up, but we can wreck it a little bit at the finish. Like we're gonna aggressively finish, just like last time where we just barely get through the finish line. How did that break the rear drive shaft? Like that side looks flawless in terms of damage, except for the windshield, and then you look over here. Still looks pretty good. The door's open, but doesn't look damaged. That is weird. Okay, a little bit of hood damage, but I don't know. I don't see anything that would make me think the vehicle is actually that damaged. For the next thing we're going to be doing, though, I don't need all that ground clearance. In fact, I want something that has a lower center of gravity, so we're going with the rally version of the Bijou Pessima. And you'll see why in a second, but first we got to drive over to it. A little bit of a shortcut we can do right here if we cut that corner as close as possible. And then this is a road, but it is very steep. I can hold my brakes as hard as I can, and we're just going to slowly slide down it. So the next one we're going to be doing is called the Drainway, and you'll see exactly why it's called that in a second, and you'll also see why I wanted a low center of gravity. So we go down the road, and then right here, we have a bowl. And I'm not going to lie to you, this isn't just a normal, ordinary bowl. It's basically a toilet bowl we're driving in right here. And you can drive on this thing in circles for as long as you want. And eventually you gotta say, okay, it's time to go down the hole. And then you might once again recognize where we're at. Yes, it's this place again. And I'm not so sure how this thing's gonna hold up for that. Oh, well, ooh. It didn't look that harsh of a landing, but it did mess up this car. I'm flooring it right now, we're barely moving. I think we can get to the finish line though. That is my only goal, is to get to the finish line. And actually, we're getting up to speed. We're up to 50 miles per hour. Can we steer into it? Yep. Through the finish line, we are done, and we can go ahead and reset this thing to go back up top, but a quick look at the damage before we do so. Again, doesn't look like it would be as damaged as it actually is. How funny. And now that we're not swimming in toilet bowls anymore, we don't need a car with a low center of gravity, and we're going to need a car with some ground clearance again. So how about we go with the Sport Special version of the Bijou Hopper. This should be a pretty good vehicle for this map, actually, because it has enough ground clearance and suspension travel where it should be able to go through all the off-road areas without any problems, even the bigger jumps. But it's also slow enough where you actually have to be mindful of your momentum and really have to manage the vehicle. So the next one we're doing is called Hutch's Gap. This one right here, we got to be going pretty fast on this first jump. We got to go about 60 miles per hour. So with this thing, we got to make sure we go through that corner nice and fast. And that was like 59 miles per hour, a little bit slow, and that's why it was a little bit of a bounce right there. But the durable off-road suspension held up. There's another flag up there too, right at the top of that mountain. It's another thing I like about this. It's a very patriotic map. Got lots of American flags all over the place. I can always appreciate that. And I also appreciate the fact the corners over here are very different than the ones we were doing before. These ones are really high banked corners. And the ones we were doing earlier, they never had any banking close to the ones you have right here. Although right here, it's a lot less banking, but it's still a pretty good bank to it. And then over here, we have something kind of interesting. We have a split in the road. So you can go to the right or to the left. It's your choice, I guess. So we'll try going to the left this time, and next time we'll go to the right. So going to the left is the safer way. You don't have to do a jump or anything like that. Just very easy to do. And then over here, we have another split in the road. You can either go a little bit to the left or straight. Straight gets you the jump. That's what we're doing. And I completely overshot the landing, but I did not overshoot the finish line. Oh, we just stripped the roof off of this thing, didn't we? Ha! Would you look that. I kind of want to get this thing upright so you can get a better look at it. Let me just flick it, and wow, yeah. We tore the top off beautifully. And I think it could actually drive good, but I want it to look good too. So we're going to go ahead and reset it. One thing I haven't really talked about is what happens when you drive off of the path. Like, there are a lot of areas around here where you can do that and your vehicle will get completely destroyed. Like, if we go over here and just drive it off the edge, it's going to roll down this mountain and get obliterated because these mountains are pretty rough and rocky. There goes the roof. And it's still going to keep on rolling. The engine's going to fall out, completely destroying this vehicle in a really interesting way because it doesn't just flatten it. It bends it and smashes it in all kinds of interesting ways. You get vehicles that really look very, very interesting once they're destroyed, I think. So here's a final look at this before we go and bring it back up again. So now we can go ahead and make our way over to the next route. And on this route, we're going to need to use a different vehicle because this route, you don't really need something that has a lot of ground clearance and a lot of suspension travel. You just need something that's fast. So we're going to go ahead and park it right in front. And as you can see, it's called Imp's Ribbon. And we're going to go ahead and swap this for a Hirochi Sunburst Rally Edition. It does have a decent suspension setup because there are some bumps and stuff we're going to be going over. We might get in the air a little bit, but the important section, well, you'll see it in a few seconds. And right here, this is why I wanted a Rally Edition. You got the bumps, and then you got these jumps right here, and you got to keep your car level through them. That's actually pretty level. And then we got this. This is the ribbon. It's basically a road that goes in every which direction. You got to do your best to stay on it. We got to switch cameras right here, though, because you get totally inverted, and it's really hard to stay on the road if you use the regular camera for that. And we're back to the other camera, and that's hard to do. Driving while switching cameras, but actually pulled it off pretty well. You can tell the sand there is pretty deep, though, because it really sucked my car down. But now we're in this tunnel, which kind of makes me think of a mine shaft because of how much wood there is, but there's no sort of those traditional mine shaft supports. So I'm not exactly sure if it's supposed to be a tunnel or a mine shaft. And now we're out of there, though. And we're going to just drive along some more dirt roads and wood roads as well. I always forget about those wood roads, but yeah, they're there. And you can see the finish coming up, and we are going to once again head into the building, and we're going to teleport back up. And funny right here, this sand eats me alive. I am flooring it right here, and we're barely getting through it. But we made it through. We go back up to the top, and since the last time we went to the left, this time we're going to go ahead and go to the right. There's still more courses on the left side as well, but I like mixing it up. Sometimes you go to the left, sometimes you go to the right, sometimes you go to the left twice. Maybe sometimes you go to the right twice. The important thing is we got a nice variety. We already did the one I just passed. So the next new one is right there, as long as I don't wreck the car trying to get there. This one is called Rockway Alley. And this one you can go fast on. So this is a perfect car for this. You don't need a lot of ground clearance or anything, just speed. We're going to get this thing up to maybe 100 miles per hour. Actually, almost 110 miles per hour. I think we hit 110 even. We were absolutely flying through there, but now we got to slow it down a bit. And now, once again, on this very familiar road you've seen a few times already, it feels really easy because we're going so slow. Although it's also hard because the jumps. This car is not the greatest for that sometimes. The bumps can really, like, mess the car up. Like, right there. That thing really messed up my momentum, but I was able to recover it. And we're going to make our way to the finish, and we're going to do this recklessly. We're going to cross the line and crash the car. Across the line, crashing the car. And we got some deja vu right here. Once again, I have broken the rear drive shaft. I mean, this time it actually makes sense. The car looks pretty beat up. Maybe not too much on the rear, but the front of the vehicle, that is beat up. Can't do any more driving with this. So, and once again, we have a choice. Shall we go to the right or shall we go to the left? I'm going to go to the left this time. And again, I'm going to cut that corner as tight as I can and be real careful through here to make sure I don't tip over. And I probably should not be going 60 miles per hour if I'm being real careful. I like that right here too. There's just this little area you can kind of park your car and look around. Like, you hop out the car and like, wow, this place is beautiful. And actually, it is a nice looking map. I haven't really mentioned that much yet, but I mean, you can see it yourself. It looks really nice. But anyways, you're done at the viewing area. You hop back in your car and you are ready to continue driving. We're going to bump the back a little bit. And at the right angle, it doesn't even look like this road connects to that one, kind of. Like, it just doesn't, because it's really steep, but it does connect. And you got to be a little careful not to slide all over the place. You can continue along. You also be careful right here. It tightens up very fast, and you can just drive right off the edge right there, which, well, actually, that might look good. It's been a little bit since we've done a crash, so how about we drive off that edge real quickly? So you gotta back this thing up and then save the spot. So how about we back it up to about right here, that way we have enough room to get up to speed, and then off the edge we shall go. So like, let's say you didn't know that this corner is so tight and you're like, I am drift man, I'm gonna drift. And then you're like, uh-oh. And you fall off the edge and, well, actually you end up going to the area we're gonna be driving kind of funnily. Although we're gonna be doing it a lot better than this, I promise you that. Very nice crash here. I love these kinds of crashes where the car kind of just slowly bounces all over the place and gets a little bit more and more damaged. It's finally come to a stop though, and you can take a look at the damage, and it held up surprisingly well because it had a roll cage. Roll cages help a lot in those kinds of crashes, and they also help a lot in a sudden impact, single impact kind of crash, but not as much as one like this. For one like this, roll cages are excellent at keeping the car intact. Anyways, now let me show you what it looks like when you actually drive the route properly and not just fly onto it. And gotta not fall off accidentally again there. That one really just concerns me. Every time I drive through it, I feel like if I'm going just a little bit faster, we're falling off the edge. So this next one is called Star King Hill, or you kind of say it's all one word, Star King Hill, whatever you want to say. This is what it looks like. It is a very high speed one, so much in fact that I'm not going to accelerate through the second half. I'm just going to let it coast to make sure I don't go too far over 100 miles per hour, because you can easily lose control once you start going that fast. And now we could accelerate some since it's not as downhill, but whoa, those bumps, man, they can get you. I was able to maintain control though, so we are still good to go. My front bumper is gone. That's okay. And through the finish line and rolling the car because I wanted to get through the finish line as fast as I could. Somehow we landed on our wheels though, so we can teleport back to the top. And why don't we just go ahead and finish up everything on the left side of here. There are 2 more routes, and then there's also another one that's not a labeled route or anything, but it is a road you can drive on, which I'll be showing you. And this will probably also be the last time I drive on this road, because I'm going to just save the spot in front of the routes because they're all grouped so tightly together at the end of this thing. It doesn't make sense to be driving it more times than necessary in this situation. And it's funny, as much as I fear that corner, I've never actually accidentally fallen off of it. So let's go ahead and swap our vehicle out for something a little bit more off-roady. How about we go with a hopper once again, and this time we're going to go with the off-road version. And I wanted the hopper because I think these roads might make me hop. What I mean by that is I just wanted a car that has more suspension travel and can bear the bumps better. Like right there, that would have been rough in a rally car. But the hopper wasn't bad at all. Yeah, there was a chance of tipping, but it was very small. With the rally car, it would have bounced off of there with its really stiff suspension setup, and who knows where it would have ended up. Although the rally car would be a little bit better through here where you have this really tight banking. You're trying not to slide the car, but it's sliding anyways because it has a high center of gravity. I also noticed through this area, it's sometimes a little bit easier to cut the corners a lot. Like if you go right through here like that, it's a lot easier than actually staying on the road because the road itself has a higher bank than the areas next to it. It's not always true, but every now and then there are some sections like that, which is kind of funny. And this corner, you got to be careful because if you slide the vehicle like this, you can hit that rock right there, which can ruin your vehicle. I just barely touched it though, so we are okay. On this last part right here, it's surprisingly difficult, so we're going to go ahead and lock the differentials because it makes it just a little bit easier, but even then, it's such a tight fit, we might still bump it a bit. Yeah, just a little bump. And then we have an easy road to the finish. This is a more normal road compared to the one we were just driving. And when we get to the finish, you might as well try to roll this thing again because it's fun to roll vehicles on the finish line. And if I could do it with a rally car, we could do it with a hopper with a higher center of gravity, I would assume. So, slide. Yep, nice roll to it, although it hit the pillar. Not too much damage to look at there though, so we'll bring it back up. And next up, we have Crankcase Canyon. This one you can do with pretty much any vehicle, it seems like. It's just a really high speed area, so you do have to be careful about going too fast potentially, so I'm going to beat my brakes every now and then. I also noticed it's easier if you stay on the inside of the corner, so don't go way out to the edges because then you start swinging back and forth and you get all over the place before you know it, and then you crash. And you lose. Well, I guess there's not really a lose in BeamNG.drive. You crash, you get a crash. Woo! You make it through, you made it through. Woohoo! Either way, it's a win-win, right? Yeah, I guess. Anyways, finish line's coming up very soon. We're gonna be flying. Oh no, don't hit nothing. Oh, wow, that was close. All right. And we'll go ahead and roll this thing again because I liked rolling it last time, but I think we can roll it better this time. We just gotta stay in the inside more, and that is what I call a roll. Many rolls right there. And I guess apparently, yeah, we're going back up top here. This is not part of the plan, but it just happened. I did not expect to roll that much, considering last time I barely rolled at all. I got like 2 rolls off. That one was just non-stop rolling. I don't want to roll right here though. We got to keep it level because that is a spot you can roll. I've done it a few times before. You know, I'm more careful about this spot than the other spot, even though I've never had a mistake here. I just realized that. There's something about that spot that just... the way the cliff looks. That's what it has to be. That cliff just looks scary if you'd actually drive off of it. So you gotta be careful around it. So next and final one we're gonna be doing in this video is called Skyway Fall. And you even got some warnings over there. It says road closed, under construction and stuff. And I need a car a little bit faster than this. How about we get the ETK Series track version? It has the wing, which helps with flying, it feels like. I don't know if they really help, but it feels like whenever I have a car with a wing, it flies better. Because yes, we will be flying. You see, there is some debris on this ramp, but you can avoid it and then go for a fly. And we're going to go a little too fast this time just to see what happens, how badly this thing gets wrecked. Way overshooting the landing, and oh, that was a hard landing. You know, for a track car, this thing doesn't have a roll cage, so it's smashed down low pretty easily. That's even lower than a bowl line now, I think. Has to be, right? And it's still rolling. Like, I still have steering right now. I can still control this thing, so we can, like, put it in the water if I wanted to, maybe. Oh, nope, it came to a stop. Not quite enough momentum. And I like this jump, so we're going to do it a couple more times. This time, we're going to do it the proper way. We're going to hit the right speed and have a smooth landing, hopefully. For this vehicle, it's about 75 miles per hour, but I have noticed it does vary for the vehicle. Some vehicles need to go faster than others. It just depends on how well the vehicle flies, basically. And that was pretty good. Nice landing. Got a little bit of damage, but it's still drivable. Then you can fly up to here, and it's kind of like the ending zone. You can park yourself on this wooden plank right there with your trunk all opened up for some reason. And then last run we're going to do. On this one, we're going to, again, land it easily, but we're going to keep accelerating at that end ramp, and we're going to fly off of that one as well. So once again, we want to be at around 75 miles per hour, going a little too fast. Down to 80 miles per hour. That's around 75. It should be close enough, I'm thinking. A little bit overshot, but it's still good. We got drivability. We're on fire, and we can overshoot this thing, and we got a little bit of a fireball flying through the air. I like the way that looks from that camera angle. And when we get down here, it will catch the car in this netting, which I thought was pretty cool. Like, it actually has a setup where if you overshoot it, there's something there to catch you. You don't just fall into a random road, which I thought was pretty neat. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video. There are a lot of routes that I not drive, though, so if you would be interested in seeing all the routes on this map, do leave a comment and we can have a part 2 for this video. If you like this video, don't forget to follow me to the gas station. And